Daniel, Mark, and Anna, 4 close friends, decided to go trekking for the weekend. We picked a forest not too far from the city, but dense enough to feel completely cut off. It was late autumn. The air was damp, heavy, and cold. Light drizzle clung to our jackets, to our hair, to our skin. By the time we set up camp, the sky was already dark. A large tent in a small clearing, a fire burning. The smell of wood smoke mixed in the wet, earthy air. At first, everything felt normal, happy even. We laughed, we ate, the fire popped and cracked in the night. Then I heard it, a cry, a child's cry, faint, distant, as if it was drifting through the rain-soaked trees. My chest tightened. My heart jumped. I asked, "Did you guys hear that?" Daniel stopped chewing. Mark laughed it off. Anna shook her head, smiling. "Don't mess with me." There are no kids out here. I stayed quiet, but my unease grew. A while later, the cry came again. Clear, wet, choking sobs, circling somewhere around the camp. Daniel turned to me, his face pale. He whispered, "I heard it too." My stomach dropped. This time, it was real. But Mark and Anna still heard nothing. Anna chuckled nervously. "You guys are trying too hard to scare me." Late at night, the fire had died. We were all inside the tent. Rain pounded hard against the canvas roof. And then, the crying returned, right outside, loud, close, as if a child was crouching just inches beyond the fabric. I shot up. Daniel did too. Our faces drained of color. Mark was still asleep. Anna groaned, annoyed. "Enough already. This joke isn't funny anymore." I couldn't say a word. My throat was locked tight. The crying dragged on, then cracked apart, and turned into shrill, high-pitched laughter, piercing, inhuman. Anna covered her ears, shouting, "Stop it! You've gone too far." Then, silence. Only the sound of rain. Near dawn. Half asleep, I thought I heard a voice whispering, calling Anna's name. I turned. She was lying still, eyes shut tight, her face tense. I pulled the blanket up to my neck, my heart hammering, too afraid to move. Morning came. The forest was quiet, calm, like nothing had ever happened. We ate quickly, packed our things. Anna smiled faintly, almost teasing. "You guys really took it too far." Calling my name while I was sleeping. Daniel and I exchanged glances. Neither of us said a word. A few days later, back in the city, the 3 of us met at a cafe. Anna wasn't there, just me, Daniel, and Mark. For a long time, nobody spoke. Finally, Daniel said, "That night, it wasn't a joke. I heard it clear. Just like you did," I nodded. My chest tightened again at the memory of the sobs. And that laughter. Mark sighed. "I didn't hear it. But looking at your faces, I believe something was there." Outside, rain tapped against the glass roof of the cafe. The sound made all 3 of us shiver. Daniel lowered his voice. "We never tell Anna. Let her believe it was just a prank. It'll be better that way." We all nodded, and from that day on, none of us spoke about it again. But I know, the crying we heard that rainy night in the forest was real, and it will haunt us for a long, long time. I was 24 years old. That year, I decided to leave my hometown and move to another city for work. A busier place full of opportunities, but also unfamiliar and cold. In those first days, I felt both excited and lost. The streets were always loud. Car horns, neon lights, rushing crowds. And in the middle of all that noise, I felt small and alone. I rented an apartment in a mid-range building. Nothing fancy, but good enough for me to start a new life. The receptionist downstairs. Young, kind, always smiling whenever I came home from work. Her friendliness made the place feel just a little less lonely. One night, after a party with new colleagues, I came back late. The alcohol still lingered in my body, my head light, my steps unsteady. I drove into the basement garage of the building. The garage was wide. Dim yellow lights reflected off the damp concrete floor, where puddles of rain had gathered near the ramp. The air was thick with the smell of gasoline and cold metal. As I wheeled my bike into place, a sound suddenly ripped through the garage. The roar of a motorcycle engine. It echoed off the walls, sharp and heavy. I froze. My eyes darted around. But there wasn't a single motorcycle running. The whole garage was silent. Only a few dusty bikes sitting still in the corners. I swallowed hard, telling myself someone must have started their bike and then turned it off quickly. But as soon as I turned away, the roar came again. Louder, longer, as if someone was twisting the throttle just to mock me. I quickened my pace, my heart pounding faster. Each step of my shoes echoed against the concrete, mixed with the phantom engine circling the garage, and then silence. The entire basement fell quiet again, the yellow lights flickering as if they might burn out at any second. I reached the elevator. Just as I raised my hand to press the button, the roar exploded again. This time, right behind me. My whole body stiffened. My breath caught. I could feel it, like a motorcycle idling inches away, tires grinding on the floor, engine snarling in my ear. I turned my head slowly. Nothing. Only the empty concrete, the wet streaks of rain on the ground, and the dim trembling light overhead. But in the air, there was the sharp, choking smell of exhaust fumes. Thick, heavy, then gone in an instant. I nearly jumped into the elevator, slamming the button again and again. As the doors closed, I stood there, chest heaving, cold sweat dripping down my back. I told myself it was just the alcohol. My head not clear, my senses playing tricks on me. Or maybe strange things like that only appear when your mind isn't sober. The next morning, when I went down to the garage, everything was normal. No sound, no trace, just the quiet, still air of an ordinary day. But in my memory, the roar of that motorcycle was still there, as if it was waiting for the next time I let my guard down. Last year, I went on a trip with my family to a famous seaside city in Europe. We wanted a real break. After months of stressful work and study, we stayed at a high-end hotel by the beach, a place with every amenity, pools, spa, gym, everything bright and polished. From the very first moment we stepped inside, I was stunned by its luxury. The air smelled of essential oils, the marble floors were cool underfoot, soft music floated through the lobby. On our first day, we spent the morning sightseeing around the city. We walked through cobblestone streets, stopped at small souvenir shops, and sat at a cafe overlooking the square. My parents laughing, my younger sibling snapping photos. The whole trip felt light, joyful, and warm. At noon, we had lunch at a seaside restaurant. The wind carried the salty scent of the ocean, mixed with the smoky aroma of grilled seafood. None of us imagined that the afternoon would become an unsettling memory. After lunch, we went back to the hotel. Everyone wanted to rest a little, then head down to the pool together. That's when I separated from them and went to the changing rooms. The hallway was long, brightly lit, but empty. Carpet on the floor, polished wooden doors. At the very end were the showers and a row of small cubicles. The air smelled faintly of chlorine, mixed with fresh wood and the lingering fragrance of the nearby spa. I picked the last cubicle at the end. While changing, I suddenly heard whispers coming from the one beside me. Soft, muffled, like 2 or 3 people talking together. The voices were so close, right beyond the wall. But I couldn't make out a single word. It was as if they were deliberately keeping it low, just enough to unsettle me. I froze, straining to listen. My heart thudded faster. Goosebumps spread across my arms. I reached for the door to step out, but it wouldn't budge. I pulled harder, again and again. It stayed jammed. In those short seconds, panic rose in my chest. The small cubicle felt tighter, damper, and the whispers around me seemed to close in, pressing against the walls. Only a few seconds, but they stretched on like minutes. Then suddenly the door swung open easily. I stumbled out, walking quickly down the hall, heart pounding in my ears. When I looked back, the hallway was silent. The whispers were gone. I glanced toward the other cubicles, doors slightly open, lights off inside. There was no one there. That night, back in my room, I didn't tell my family anything. Partly because I didn't want them to worry, partly because I wasn't even sure myself. Was it just a trick of the mind? Or was there really someone whispering behind those doors? One thing I know for sure. I don't want to mention the name of that hotel again. And in the future, if I ever return to that city, I think I'll choose a different place to stay. I'm 29 years old. I work as a mechanical and electrical engineer. My job is simple: inspect, maintain, evaluate. Electricity, ventilation, plumbing, fire safety. It isn't glamorous, but it's stable, and it matters. I'm used to cold hallways, machine rooms filled with wires, empty upper floors no one ever visits. Since college, I've believed everything has a cause. Science explains it all. I don't believe in ghosts. Friends once dragged me to tarot readings, to so-called psychic sessions, even haunted houses on Halloween. I laughed, shook my head. If something feels strange, I always said, there's a scientific reason. They called me the man who isn't afraid. Last autumn, I was sent to inspect a research center. It had been abandoned for almost 10 years. The new owners wanted offices, laboratories. But first, they needed a technical report. That was my job. People whispered about the place. Guards quitting because of noises at night. Neighbors claiming to see lights flicker inside. I laughed again. Old wires, faulty circuits, that's all. The day I arrived, it rained. Bare trees lined the road, wet leaves clinging to the pavement. The building rose out of the mist, 4 stories of gray concrete, broken windows, black stains across the walls. The property manager pressed a key into my hand. Take your time. I'll wait in the car. And then I walked in, alone. The smell of mold hit me as the door slammed shut. The hallway was dim. Fluorescent lights flickered weakly above. Rain hammered the roof. Water dripped. Somewhere inside. I started my work. Rusted switchboards, exposed wires, broken fans. Then, a fluorescent light above me flared bright, flickered, and went dark. Strange. The entire circuit had already been cut. I told myself, residual current. Nothing unusual. A sudden crash at the end of the hall. A folder scattered open on the floor. Papers rustling faintly, though the air was still. In the utility room, A loud metallic clang, like a wrench dropped on concrete. But the shelves were bare, thick with dust. The floor empty. Nothing there. I stood still, listening. Only my heartbeat. Only the drip of water above. The blueprints marked a main laboratory on the 3rd floor. A soundproofed room with thick glass walls. I climbed the creaking stairs. The air grew colder, heavier. Rust stung my nose. At the end of the hall, a steel door. The faded letters still read LAB1. I unlocked it, stepped inside. Dust floated in my flashlight beam. Broken glass reflected my shadow back at me. Then, knock, 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 3 knocks, silence, then 3 more. The sound came from the glass wall. I stepped closer. My light caught faint handprints on the dusty surface. Small, fresh, impossible. From the corner, a chair screeched, dragging slowly across the floor, leaving a line through the dust. My body froze. My mind searched for an explanation. Nothing made sense. In the reflection, a figure, tall, still, standing behind me. I spun around. The room was empty. Then it started again. Knock, 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 this time, behind me. My breath shallow, sweat cold across my back, and for the first time in my life, I couldn't pretend there was a scientific reason. I backed toward the door, each step echoing like thunder. The steel door slammed shut. The knocking stopped. I hurried down the stairs. Every gust of wind sounded like footsteps close behind. Outside, rain lashed against my face. The manager leaned from his car. Done already? Anything unusual? I answered quickly. No, just badly deteriorated systems. That night, I filed my report. Pages of technical notes. Not a single word about the knocks, or the chair, or the handprints, or the figure in the glass. Weeks later, a friend asked me, "Have you ever faced something science couldn't explain?" I laughed, shook my head. No, everything has a reason, but inside, I knew my answer wasn't certain anymore. The handprints, the chair, the reflection, the knocking, they still haunt me, and for the first time, I'm not sure science explains everything.